Catherine, you think that attract is part of a cognitive process?
Yes, of course. I think the structure of it underlies the cognitive process.
So, for example, an algorithm as a metaphor of a psychological process could be coded by attract and gray matter working together?
Yes, I guess, and probably multiple tracks working together as well is the great matter.
So, can you explain what do you say about thinning?
Oh, so
What is thinning?
So thinning is the normal maturational process that happens in the cortex. So as kids get older, their cortex naturally gets thinner, probably as it's specializing and refining.
Yes. Thinning is a normal process.
In kids, yes.
In
Yes.
kids.
Yeah.
And in a person of 50 years old?
So cortical thickness, it goes down in childhood and adolescence. And then it seems to stabilize or relatively stabilize during much of adulthood. And then it continues to go down in older age. So in the elderly, as they get older, their cortex thins more.
In the using of what are you saying, I think that a very complex statistical model can fit in a cognitive process. Maybe?
Yeah.
Because the index I can interpret in both sides.
Yes. Well, you have to consider the age you're looking at whenever you're studying something, right? So that can help you interpret what's happening. Also, multiple measures help. So if you have longitudinal data and you can measure what's actually changing over time, it's sometimes a bit easier to interpret those changes.
And you interpret the data. For example, thinning of the pericillium stone in learning to reading. You interpret thinning like a very well performance.
Like a normal maturation, yes. So it could be that somebody whose brain is thinning faster is just having faster maturation.
And if a child had a problem with his hippocampal, the hippocampal is thinning, how you distinguish the process?
That's when you have to use other information, I think, to start figuring out what's happening, and whether it's normal maturation or a deviation from normal maturation or a pathological process. I think it's always hard to interpret one piece of information.
You need more information.
Yeah.
And the behavioral information is useful for you?
Yes, I think it's all useful to put together to try to understand what's happening. And also, this is why it helps us understand what's happening as well. The more we know about normal development, I think, the more we can start to understand about deviations from that normal development. Because it could be that deviations in either way are not good. So you have this optimal process that should occur at this optimal time. And if it's too soon, that's bad. If it's too late, that's bad. If it's too high, that's bad. If it's too low, that's bad.
Which is the difference between a longitudinal distance or long distance in millimeters from the PL marble to the million with volume using the same tool?
I'm not sure I understand what you're asking.
If you are using the same tool, for example, free surfer,
Okay.
which is the difference if you use 1.1 vector or volume?
Oh, so you can measure thickness, which is the difference between the white matter boundary and the field surface. You can look at surface area, or you can look at volume, which is essentially the product of the two. And they're going to tell you slightly different information. So volume is correlated to some extent with both surface area and thickness, because it's the product of them. But thickness and surface area aren't always related. So you may see a change in one of those and not the other.
So the information is volume.
Well, volume provides you with some information. But let's say only cortical thickness changes, then that measure is going to be more sensitive than volume.
In which case?
So if you have a change in cortical thickness, measuring cortical thickness would be the best. Measuring volume might pick it up to some extent, and measuring surface area wouldn't tell you anything. So it really depends on your question.
Yes. My question is, if I'm learning to read, which information is better? To trace a one dimension or a volume?
I think they're both useful depending on your question.
My question is, if I'm learning to read,
Yeah.
it's changed my cognitive functions.
Well, I don't know. You could look at both measures and see what they show you.
I read a paper about this.
About changes in volume?
Yes.
Yes. It's a good paper.
Yes. But in this paper, the authors, I don't know, perhaps I see to Houston, choose volume.
Yes.
Why?
We thought that it would be a good way to look at changes over time. We were also curious to see what happened to the volume, given that previous studies had looked more at cortical thickness. So we wanted to see if volume was if trajectories of volume growth were different in kids of different reading levels.
So, can I say that you are one of the first creator of the change, like a true index of gray matter?
No, I'm certainly not the first to do that, but I do think it's a really useful measure. There are some great papers out there by people like Shaw and Heath looking at longitudinal structural range changes. I think looking at the trajectory is just as important as looking at a snapshot in time to really understand what's happening in developmental disorders.
Looking the trajectories.
Yeah, it is important.
It could be looking the trajectories your lapid, right? When you die,
Yes.
your epitaph.
Yes, you can write that on my epitaph. Look at the trajectories.
Okay. So, you're so nice. Thank you.